Hi, welcome along to another video. Today's video is going to be all about the different types of events that you'll find around the world. Hi, my name is Mark Norman. I've been working in events for nearly 25 years. We're going to look at two ways we can define events, and also we're going to look at the different types of, or the main types of events. Let's start though by understanding what exactly is an event. Now typically most definitions of what events are the fact that they're one-off occurrences. That is to say they'll happen once and never to be repeated. So often event planners will be working under great pressure because they know they have to deliver an event under a particular time frame and to a particular deadline. Once the event has happened, you can't go back and experience it again. That is also another reason that people value events, is because they are that kind of one-time occurrence. The second thing that defines events is they're typically gatherings of people, either because we want to come together with our family or friends, or that we're gathering to see a particular form of entertainment. But generally speaking, events involve the gathering of people. The third thing that defines events, and perhaps the most important thing, is that they are designed specifically with outcomes or looking to achieve a particular aim or objective. Now that's a really important part of event planning that we'll cover in another video, but understanding the reason that the event's taking place is the starting point for any event planning, but it can often be the reason and motivation that people are going to the event in the first place. Think about a business event like a conference. Think about the objectives that they're trying to seek. Obviously, they're trying to educate people on a particular topic, or they're trying to get people to network or connect in some way, and they're also perhaps trying to be generating a profit. Now, some pretty clear understanding of objectives there. Now, they can go a step further and really define those objectives, but it's important to define these before the event planning actually takes place. Next, we want to consider what motivates people to attend events. Now, typically, there's a lot of reasons that people will be motivated to attend events, and the events industry is typically segregated into these specific sectors. This is not a complete list, but for the most part, it covers most of the events around the world. The first is business events. I've just mentioned an example of business events, but the business sector is one of the largest sector of events around the world, and it includes things like conferences and exhibitions and trade shows, and there is an enormous amount of events that take place just purely in this sector. The second sector that I want to mention is leisure, and leisure is the kind of events that most of us day to day will attend in our spare time, and so this covers a large amount of events, and this can be, and I have to say there's a lot of crossover between these motivations as well. So leisure covers an enormous range of events and experiences that we might choose to go to, be it a festival, be it a wedding, be it a birthday party. So these are kinds of events that we are motivated to go to in our spare time. And in terms of breaking down that leisure motivation a little bit more, we might think about events as a social event, or we might think of them as a cultural event. Now, typically social events will cover things like weddings or birthday parties or personal events like that. Whereas cultural events may be more art-based, they may be more organised, they may be more themed around music or different other kind of art forms that are not necessarily linked to personal events, and they are designed for the masses. So a difference between social and cultural. But with all of these motivations, it might be that people are motivated by several of them. It's not unheard of for business travellers to also take time out and do some leisure travel while they're away at a particular business event. Let's get on to how we classify events. And there's two ways that we can classify different events. The first is by size. We're talking about how big the event is, how many people will attend the event. And the biggest events are those like the Olympic Games or the FIFA World Cups, where there's hundreds of thousands of people travelling to watch these particular competitions, these particular events. But they don't happen very often. They're often referred to as mega events because they are infrequent, in the Olympic Games case every 4 years, and so they have the greatest demand. Then we have destination events, which are also called hallmark events. And these destination events are very much linked to the place in which they are held, and maybe they have some sort of cultural link to the place. So for example, Oktoberfest in Munich or Mardi Gras in New Orleans, those types of events which won't move around, but they have quite a large cultural significance, but they also have quite a large appeal to people to go and visit. Next down is major events. Now they can be the same size as the hallmark events that we mentioned previously, but they're not necessarily as well linked to place. So they do move around. An example of these would be Formula One Grand Prix. As a sporting event, they tend to move from place to place. They're major events, but they're not particularly linked to the place that they're held. And finally, the fourth type by size certainly is local events. Now, local events includes a wide range of different events, and these can be personal events like weddings. These can be local community fairs. These can be any kind of local sports event. So they're actually the largest section of events, but in terms of volume, but they have the kind of smallest appeal in terms of numbers who would want to attend the actual event. If this video is useful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a thumbs up. That really helps us out. So the second way in which we can define events is by type. First type of event you could talk about is sports event, either for participation or for as a spectator. So typical things like football matches or any other kind of sporting event where people are travelling to watch the actual event take place or to participate in it. The second type, cultural events, and these will typically include things like art events or music festivals. They often attract quite a large range of people, but they fall into this cultural sector. Next are personal events, and these include things such as birthday parties, weddings, Valentine balls, anything like that, which is organised really on a personal basis and not to be sold as a commercial event. So these are events that are very much personal to the person that's organising them. And finally, business events, and these can include things like conferences and exhibitions, trade shows. They take place all around the world. As we said earlier, these are one of the largest sectors of the event industry. There's a large range of skill set needed to deliver all of these different types of events, and of course there are common skills across all of those, despite the fact that there's different sizes and there's different types of events. And if you're interested in learning how to plan an event, then check out the next video where I talk through how to actually plan, or the steps I've been through in my experience to plan an event. Hope this video has been useful. If so, follow my next video, or I'll see you soon.